The Newsday continues here on One News Now Business. I'm Jess De Los Santos, and here are the biggest stories on the economic and corporate fronts. The Bureau of the Treasury raised 25 billion pesos from the reissued 25-year T-bonds it offered on Tuesday. The bonds, which have a remaining life of 12 years and 6 months, were awarded at an average rate of 6.167%. That's 9.5 basis points lower than the standard Bloomberg valuation or BVAL reference rate for securities. Demand for these securities attracted 54.045 billion pesos, more than twice the amount on the auction block. Economists said yields were on a decline amid recent market expectations of a possible pause on Fed rate hikes. The Bangko Sentral has assured the public that Philippine banks have no reported exposure to the collapse of the Silicon Valley Bank in the United States. BSP Governor Felipe Medalla says local banks' foreign currency deposit unit or FCDU assets are mostly loans, as well as Philippine dollar bonds and sovereign bonds of countries with high credit ratings. Markets around the world have been shaken by the back-to-back collapse of Silicon Valley Bank and New York's Signature Bank, even after U.S. authorities launched measures to shore up confidence in the banking system. The Bankers Association of the Philippines said recent developments in the U.S. financial system have no substantial or material impact to Philippine banks. The association said local banks have diversified deposit bases that include all sectors of the Philippine economy, allowing them to continuously provide the liquidity needs of clients. BAP also said it continues to work with the Bangko Sentral and other stakeholders to pursue reforms that will lead to an even stronger financial system. Following the collapse of Silicon Valley Bank, Moody's Investors Service has downgraded its outlook on the U.S. banking system to negative from stable. The Federal Reserve is also said to be considering tougher capital and liquidity requirements for mid-sized banks. Daniel Taub reports on Bloomberg TV.
More on what's happening in the banking sector, and of course we have been watching the latest developments, 3 lenders collapsing in the span of a week, and what this means for smaller banks. We have now seen Moody's sort of come out belatedly saying, well, there's a problem here.
Right. What Moody's did today was, or actually late yesterday, was cut the outlook for the entire U.S. banking system to negative from stable, and they did this as they cut the outlook for 6 regional banks. Some of these banks have seen big stock drops, more yesterday. Today there's been a slight recovery in them. You're looking at a banking system that's not as healthy as it was just a week ago.
In the meantime, when it comes to the future of SVB, or at least its component businesses, we've seen interest from some of the largest PE firms, right? Apollo, Ares, Blackstone, Carlyle, KKR, have all been circling around the loan book. What parts are they interested in, and what's kind of compelling about this?
Sure, yeah. I mean, there's multiple parts to SVB. It's not just the bank that we all know failed, like last week. There's also there's a loan book that the private equity firms are interested in. It's about a $74 billion loan book as of the end of last year, and those are loans that have real borrowers who are paying their payments, and so companies like Apollo, Ares, KKR, as you mentioned, Blackstone, are interested in those loan books. Blackstone also is looking at other parts of SVB potentially as well.
It's all about regulators trying to figure out what's going on over there, and they're specifically looking at executive stock trades at SVB. What do we know?
Yeah, we don't know a lot yet. We do know that they're expanding. Regulators are expanding their investigation into the collapse to the stock trades. We did report, I believe late last week, that SVB's CEO sold about $3.6 million of shares not long before the failure. That was a pre-planned stock sale, so that may not be the issue at hand. But often, there's a lag between when these sales are happening, when they're reported. So, they're looking into other stock sales as well. We don't have a lot of information yet, but we do know that they're concerned about the executive stock sales. Often executives have a lot more information before the rest of us do, and if they're trading on that before the collapse, then that could be a real problem.
It's really interesting what we heard from the new CEO of Silicon Valley Bridge Bank, really asking for depositors to come back to the lender to help them rebuild, and actually forging the argument that with the backstop, this is now actually the safest place in the United States to put your money. Do you think that process of rebuilding confidence is going to work, I guess? And also, to what extent does it actually help potentially reshape what becomes of SVB, given that we know there's a high likelihood that it's going to be broken apart into different pieces?
Yeah, it's a great question. I mean, obviously, what did happen on Sunday was that the regulators took an action that basically makes every deposit across the country and all the banks, insured or not insured, safer. I mean, they're basically saying that if you have deposits at a U.S. bank, you're guaranteed. So, SVB's argument could be that this is a great brand. You've done business with us for years. We're incredibly well known, especially in the Bay Area in California. Very well known in the tech sector. Come back to us. Keep doing business with us. You know us. You've liked us in the past. We had a brief blip there, but come back and do business with us. And because of the Fed's actions, the FDIC actions over the weekend, that you're assured that your money's safe. So whether that argument plays out, whether people go with that or they move their funds to a better, well-known bank, it remains to be seen, of course.
We'll be back with more stories after the break. Keep it here on One News. You're still watching One News Now. I'm Jess De Los Santos. The government plans to begin the construction of the 175 billion peso Bataan-Cavite Interlink Bridge this year. Public Works Secretary Manuel Bonoan said the project will create more direct access between the northern and southern parts of Metro Manila. Bonoan said the projected economic rate of return of the infrastructure is at more than 25%, which he described as, quote, really big. The 32-kilometer cable-stayed bridge across Manila Bay is expected to cut travel time from Manila to Bataan from 3 hours to just less than an hour.
With this bridge, I think you will have better access, actually more direct access between these two growth areas. And significantly, it will improve actually the economic development, not only in Luzon, but for the entire country.
Puerto Galera begins preparations to keep the oil spill from Oriental Mindoro at bay should it reach the town's shores. Locals have begun making nets for improvised oil spill booms to mitigate its effects. This as experts warn that a shift in wind direction could bring the spillage closer to Puerto Galera. Because of this, locals now fear for their businesses as the oil spill may drive tourists away.
It's more than epekto ng COVID. Kasi ang problema dito, masyadong mahaba yung ng long term talaga yung effect ng oil spill. Imagine mo yung white sand beaches mo. Yung diving kasi ang aming talagang industry. Yan yung aming talagang pinagkukunan ng hanap buhay sa tourism.
Meanwhile, luxury beach resort Amanpulo says it does not see the oil spill making a significant impact on its business. This as Amanpulo's management cites the 200-kilometer distance of the resort from the location of the incident. The resort is located in the Cuyo archipelago of northern Palawan. The beach resort, however, assures that it has already put precautionary measures in place to mitigate any potential effect. The Securities and Exchange Commission may face challenges in implementing environmental, social, and governance policies. That's according to a report by Fitch Specialist Unit Sustainable Fitch. This as the SEC acknowledges that most companies tend to make public only the positive aspects of their sustainability reports. According to Sustainable Fitch, the Philippines is still unable to set clear details on its ESG and decarbonization strategies, and this could hinder the country's ESG progress compared with neighboring peers. Facebook parent Meta said it would cut another 10,000 jobs this year. Meta is the first big tech company to announce a second round of mass layoffs amid fears of an economic downturn. The widely anticipated job cuts are part of a restructuring which would scrap hiring plans for about 5,000 openings and kill off lower priority projects. Meta's purge of employees is one of the sector's most pronounced, especially after the company removed 11,000 jobs last year. And morale is low at Meta following that announcement of a massive layoff, Bloomberg's Sarah Fryer reports.
Sarah, 10,000 a big number. What else have we learned about the specifics of this latest round of layoffs?
Well, this is the second big round for Meta in the last 6 months. So I think what we're really hearing from most of our sources is just that the morale is hitting a low point at the company, and workers have had a lot of anxiety about what might come next. And of course, Meta is saying that it is still working to continue to restructure the company, including by flattening the organization. They want to make sure that managers aren't having just a couple direct reports. They want to make sure that engineers to managers ratio is a little healthier in Zuckerberg's eyes, and giving them more ability to release products faster, to be more efficient. They think that reducing the number of middle managers will really help them get there. But this is really about Zuckerberg's year of efficiency. He's all about efficiency. That is what is driving the stock, and Wall Street seems to like it.
They do still seem to like it, even though many of those working at the company still don't know whether they'll be keeping their jobs by April. If you're on the tech groups, it's going to be, if you're more on the business line, not finding out till May. From a morale perspective, therefore, moving more to I thought the buzzwords were interesting. The fact that he's still saying we're going to be investing in artificial intelligence. It didn't feel like he was really doubling down on metaverse, even though that is still their big focus.
Yeah, that's been interesting for us too. We've really heard that Zuckerberg's focus on AI has been prominent in these last few weeks and months, which has some employees wondering whether that metaverse mission is as all-encompassing as he previously made it sound. Of course, Oculus sales he says they're strong, but certainly they had to reduce the price recently. There are some indications that it just really isn't catching on among consumers at the rate that they expected. So I think that going all in on AI is his next move here, and really relates also to the business. I mean, they have to use AI to improve their algorithm. They have to use AI to make up for the deficiencies in their advertising work because of the changes that Apple made to tracking.
Shares up more than 6%, biggest jump in around 6 weeks, Sarah. As you and I have reported, by contrast, morale is pretty much rock bottom with inside Meta. Remind us why this is happening now. We had some reporting about the urgency to get these job cuts done, about Mark Zuckerberg in particular and what he's about to do.
Well, he wants to make sure that they can meet some lower expense goals. They really want to make sure that they can be a more efficient organization as revenue growth slows. Now, the context here is that these platforms that they've created, Facebook, Instagram, these giants, are really not growing as fast as they used to. They're trying to grow the attention, but the user base is already very saturated around the world. So they have to come up with other ways to get their profits in line with what Wall Street expects, to keep that growth going. And this is how they're doing it. And I think that Meta really saw an opportunity. It's not that they have to, or else there will be some dire consequences for their business, but they saw an opportunity in this moment where a lot of companies are doing this to say, listen, we can do it and it won't reflect badly on us, and in fact, it'll make us look smart.
And those are the top business stories of the hour. I'm Jess De Los Santos. Join us again at 2 p.m. We are One News, all sides, all the time.